Hey, everybody.
I worry about you, helpline. I just...
welcome. Folks, stay tuned. We've got a treat. If you all remember, he's been on the show before, but we have J.J. Carrell coming up. Who is he? If you are new to the show, he is a former United States Border Patrol senior agent, author, and he's doing a documentary. And if there's anybody who knows about what's going on with the illegals in this country, it is this man. Stay tuned for it. You do not want to miss it. Trust me, you're going to learn a lot. We did. In addition to that, Jim, unsealed documents confirm deadly force in the Mar-a-Lago raid. Interesting. Trump rally in the Bronx. Tell us about that. Biden's approval drops again, but this time Trump is out is out fundraising him, which is good news. And California's at it again, folks. That plus we have some videos to show you. And then, as mentioned, that interview with J.J. Carrell coming up on, Jim, another spectacular episode of what?
That would be Two Guys, One Coup.
Cheers.
Welcome to the Two Guys, One Coup podcast with Dale and Jim, where the truth matters and progressives' feelings don't. We bring you the facts from the perspective of two average, everyday guys who will never apologize for being America first, for adhering to our great Constitution, and for saluting the flag that our brothers and sisters have fought and died for. And now, here's Dale and Jim.
Please like, follow, and share on Rumble. You
Jim.
can also watch us on YouTube, and we're
fingers
still there.
Crossed, folks. Still there. I don't know how.
As closer we get to the election, we'll
maybe
see.
not after this interview with JJ.
Closer we get to the election, and of course, please listen to, if you do listen to us, which like we've always said, why wouldn't you want to look at this? I don't know, but we're gorgeous. I mean, we are. I don't know why we're not
natural,
sexiest
human
men alive.
Aphrodisiacs. We are.
I think we should do a promotion for the, what is it, People's Sexiest Man? I think we should be the next ones.
I don't know. Who is it? Time? People? I have no idea. Life?
Who
who does the Sexiest Man?
Really, I don't know. So anyway.
Why don't they do a Sexiest Woman?
Also, we can listen to us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple, whatever you listen to. Sorry, we got off topic a little bit. Which one we usually do.
Why is not a Sexiest Woman? Dude, how come they don't have...
Because it's sexist.
Why is that?
It's sexist.
Well, it's hard to tell anymore these days who's a woman.
Well, I can tell you right now.
And can they? Do they have to stop doing that? Genderizing the sexiest person of the year?
I personally think we have to, because these men that are competing in women's sports are just downright gorgeous. You can't tell the difference.
You can hardly tell the difference. You know what, Jim? Now that we're on that subject, I wasn't even going to start with this, but now that we're on that subject, you and I have been talking about the alphabet people.
We've been talking
and how after the L, the G, basically B. After the L and the G, but you could say B, bi. Yeah. I get that, but if you're enjoying women and you're also sexually enjoying men, well, you're gay if you're a man, and vice versa if you're a woman. So I think you literally can just stop at gay.
Good point.
I think you just need G. Okay. Yeah. But we've been saying, this is like, it's all getting confusing with all these pronouns. Well, who would have thought this is also someone else that agrees with us on that, but who would have thought it would have came from here? Okay. So let's watch this, Jim.
Oh, I knew he was gay. I didn't think he was that gay.
No, Peter, he's not gay. He's a woman stuck in a man's body.
Yeah, gay.
It's totally different.
Sounds the same.
Well, it's not.
Okay, so he wants to be a woman so he can be a lesbian?
No, he'd date men.
Gay.
Yeah, gay.
So,
Peter Griffin says it best.
Peter Griffin. I mean, if you don't get your news source from Family Guy, where are you getting it from, folks?
Why are you not? I mean,
why are you not? But isn't that true? So he wants to be a woman to date men? Yeah. Gay.
Which is what you and I've been saying all along. Why can't they just be gay?
That was an old version. If nobody's seen it, and I know Jim and his son and me and Billy and my son and Danny and all these folks that I know, we've all seen that episode, but that's when Quagmire finds out that his father wants to be a transgender.
Yeah.
And Peter and Lowe's can't figure it out like the rest of America.
Well, because it changes.
It just doesn't make sense.
It changes.
Mm-hmm. It changes. But yeah, I'm glad I kind of segued right into that, Jim. I wasn't even preparing for that.
That's
but
what
there
professionalism it does. That's what we do.
That's how it works, brother. That's how it works. Real quick before we get into, because I know you've got some videos and we want to get into a couple of these stories before the interview. Joe Biden held a rally in New Hampshire. Ecstatic. First, I'm going to show you the crowd.
Similar
to Trump's. Yeah. Very similar. To very similar to his New Jersey, Trump's New Jersey rally. I mean, here you go. Just wait till the end. Look at that. There must be 50s of 60s of people there.
Supporting our veterans.
Yeah.
This is 30 minutes before the President of the United States is supposed to be in this room. Feel the excitement?
Yeah, boy, I'll tell you, it's a hoot and hollering crowd, folks, 81 million votes, more black votes than Barack Obama. Nothing to see here.
We do know now, okay, because you know how they always want to, how the left always says that when you sit there and say, I don't see color, that's racist.
Yeah.
So now we've got a term that we hear. Because now the term that always goes around that I've talked to about people, because remember, I was one of those people that I needed to be shown the proof, right? That there was cheating in the election. I had many arguments. Let's see the proof. I don't want to just hear these, because every year you hear it.
I don't want to hear pundits talking about it.
I don't want everything else. So started seeing it. Okay, so now we've got these individuals. The proper thing is, well, there's always been cheating in all the elections. That is what is.
Yeah, there's always some. There's glitches. Yesterday in the special election where Fani Willis retained her seat as district attorney. Right? District attorney? Is that what it was? I don't even know what she was. General whore of Atlanta. Yeah. She won her seat.
But that's the point. That's the new terminology. Well, there's been cheating all the time.
There's been cheating all along.
Oh, so it's okay. Oh,
yesterday they had a 45-minute glitch in the voting machines. Yeah, that they came out and explained why.
They were supposed to fix that.
Yeah, of course they were, and we'll get into some of the voting stuff too. Jim's got a video he wants to play too. But did you know? So at that rally, Joseph Robinette Biden spoke. Did you know?
Did he pass gas at this one?
No, not at that. Not like he did at Moorhead College. The guy's The Walking Dead. At any rate, yeah, he spoke here. Did you hear about that new act that he signed? I don't know if you heard it or not. Well, he'll tell you.
After I signed the PAC Act into law, I handed the pen that I signed it with as a petition to the most responsible for the legislation.
Well, I'm sorry, what?
Was that the Lufthansa?
He signed a what into law? And he handed a pen to who? What? It's just his stutter, Jim. There's no
August,
sign of any.
I'm telling you right now, by August, he is not going to be the candidate.
It's going to be Kamala Harris, and she's going to pick Michelle Obama as her running mate. Or vice versa. It's going to happen.
I still think Gavin Newsom, but
yeah.
Anyway,
and I'm getting a little worried about the Trump trial in New York. I told you off air why, and I'll just leave it at that. I'm not going to go into deep details about that Alvin Bragg trial. It is the most unfair, unconstitutional trial. They didn't let them bring up an election finance expert. They didn't let the defense bring up, and they call him the Rolls Royce of election finance explanations, right? So I say that because when that happened, I immediately text our new legal expert. Now, who's our new legal expert, Jim? That would be the Honorable Judge John H. Wilson. I sent him a message on Facebook Messenger. And I said this. I said, Judge, quick question. Can Judge Merchant do this? Judge presiding over the Alvin Bragg case. Well, obviously he can, but how can a defense expert be denied? That's when they denied the defense from bringing up the election finance expert. He put it this way. He goes, there are a series of reasons for denying the presentation of an expert witness. However, since the issue in Trump's case involves a potential violation of federal election law and prosecution witnesses have testified to a general unspecified violation of federal election law, it is improper and probably reversible error to not allow the defense to present the witness. Now, that doesn't mean the judge can't. That doesn't mean, and of course the judge wasn't going to, because this guy would have debunked everything that they had to say. So therefore, he's not allowed, and it goes into the jury's hands. Now, the closing arguments, I think, are next Tuesday. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Is it now or is it next Tuesday? I believe after Memorial Day.
It's next Tuesday, I think. Yeah, because the judge has to relax, and they can't let Trump,
Yeah, they got to find, correct. Yeah.
Right.
So at any rate, we'll keep up to date on that. I've asked the judge to come back in perhaps after the closing arguments on Tuesday, and it goes in. So we're looking at maybe that Thursday of that week, Jim, the 30th or 31st, one of the two. He might come back on and kind of give us the opinion of what's happening. We might know more then. But anyways, that's what I wanted to let you know, and that's all I want to get into that. In the absence of time today, Jim, but you have some stuff you also want to play. You have some videos. We talk about election interference. You want to start with that one and about illegals?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that one. Well, because this is another thing that surprised me. Remember how we always say that you can't vote if you're not, is this the one you're talking about?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Yep. How we're talking, because this kind of feeds in a little bit to what the interview with JJ, but yeah, we need to show this because apparently you can.
Yeah. So this will be just to set it up a little bit. This is Tucker Carlson, and he had Catherine Engelbrecht, who has also been on our show, of True the Vote, talking about this exact subject.
We had to do some deep dive, so somebody snuck this in. Somebody did.
Somebody. So listen to this. It's a couple minutes long, is it, Jim? But worth a listen. That's all right. Yeah, we're just going to let it play out. I mean, if you need me to stop it, Jim, let me know. But if not, we'll just let this play out. Here's Tucker interviewing Catherine Engelbrecht of True the Vote.
It's illegal, you say, for illegal aliens to vote in a federal election. Well, actually, it's not illegal, it turns out. Congress passed something in the U.S. Code, the federal code, a line that, unbeknownst to the rest of us, makes it legal for illegal aliens to vote in federal elections if they believe they are citizens. It's a state of mind. Did you know that?
No.
We didn't know that. Most people didn't know that. Catherine Engelbrecht just found this provision in the U.S. Code.
So, we took a deep look at the criminal code, and Title 18 left us just gobsmacked. Because when you read all the way through it, as it lists all of the stipulations against non-citizen voting in federal elections and lays out the penalties therefore, scroll all the way down to the fine print, and what you read is that non-citizens can vote without penalty if at the time they are voting, they believe themselves to be U.S. citizens. And I'll tell you what I'm really concerned about, Tucker, is that when we lived through 2020 and we saw the landscape change, lawlessness take hold, we watched on the sidelines and said, surely this can't be what it looks like is happening. Surely this move to the mass mail of ballots and unmonitored drop boxes and third-party election workers that have no proper training, surely this can't be what's about to play out. And then when it did, you're left with scant few days to try to pick up the pieces and prove what really happened. I'm seeing this now play out in 2024 on this issue, much the same. And so it's my hope that we can awaken Americans to this problem and demand accountability before November so that we can decide if citizenship is truly a state of mind.
Wow. People support her. She's doing the good work.
You have to, because
good work.
You want to talk about somebody who is under constant threat, under constant. But folks, All you have to do is believe you are. And if you do not believe the election was stolen in 2020 and they're not attempting to do something in 2024, you're part of the problem. Get out.
Leave the country.
You're part of the problem. You have now become a problem.
Yep.
And it's not. This is ridiculous. This is completely
Jim, it was
ridiculous.
Good find. I'm glad you found that so we can play it. That's very telling and does lead right into, the interview with J.J. Carrell. You're going to hear even more craziness, folks. True stuff that's going on.
It's going to scare you, but it's meant to.
It's meant to. It should. It should. When it comes right down to it, how many would stand up for their country? How many would stand up for their,
right.
What would you do to save the country? I'd do anything because in essence, I'm saving my family and there's nothing I wouldn't do to save that.
Yep.
Nothing.
Yep.
So, it's be prepared, folks. But anyways, thanks, Jim, for bringing that up. And this also then goes right in line with the current administration, right? And what Trump might have predicted. I think we should play that one, Jim. What Trump said would happen if Biden took office. And so now we know, after some history here. Yeah, you want to set it up at it anyway, or is that good enough? You just want to play it?
Well, it's in all honesty, no, we don't need to set it up. It speaks for itself. But folks, it is what Dale said it is. It's President Trump predicted what happens in 2020 if Biden wins the election.
Well, let's see what happens here.
Before I took office, there was a lot of folks out there making some pretty bold predictions about how things would turn out.
But if Biden wins, your borders are gone. The middle class is gone. Your safety is gone. Gas prices going $5, $6, $7 for a gallon. Flood your communities with criminal aliens, drugs, and crime. Spend trillions of dollars rebuilding foreign nations, fighting foreign wars, and defending foreign borders.
So for all those predictions of doom and gloom, here's where we stand.
You want to use the word recession or depression? And you know Biden, he can't stand up to the lunatics running his party. He can't even find his way off the stage without him.
Look, the bottom line is this.
I say you're not doing a very good job.
Yep.
Folks,
so there's nothing he said that has not happened.
Prove it wrong.
Yeah, prove it wrong. It just harks back to the interview with JJ.
I mean, look at all the money these illegals are getting, all the shelter the illegals are getting.
Yeah,
and we're hurting at home.
Yep, we're hurting at home, every one of us. So, and it's deep. Again, not going to ruin the interview. Jesus, God, I can't keep talking about it because it's just wait. Just wait. Jim, I'll start. Why don't I start?
Yeah.
On one of our stories, quick stories. These won't take long. Yeah, these won't take long. Breaking news yesterday. 2 days ago now, but yeah, as we're recording yesterday. I'm Walter Cronkite.
Hello.
Breaking news, folks. Newly unsealed docs reveal what? Biden's FBI authorized the use of deadly force during the Mar-a-Lago raids. Armed agents prepared to confront Trump. They were given the go to use, and here's the other thing. So Joe Biden was ready to have his main political rival, Donald Trump, and his family killed for a publicity stunt. And does anybody think that's not true? Judge Aileen Cannon, thank God, the only judge in any of this bullshit that's, actually doing their job, on Tuesday unsealed numerous motions related to Jack Smith's classified documents case against Trump. One filing revealed Biden's FBI authorized the use of deadly force during their raid on Mar-a-Lago, authorized by U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland in August 2022, and Merrick Garland has Sudge came out and said that he did authorize this raid. Should former president of the United States, Trump, this is what it says, arrive at Mar-a-Lago, FBI, EM, and OSCs will be prepared to engage with the former president and their security team. Should the United States Secret Service provide resistance or interfere with FBI timeline or accesses, the FBI, EM will engage with redacted will engage with USSS POCs per existing liaison relationships. The redacted portions are deadly force. Recall that Joe Biden paved the way for his Justice Department to arrest his political opponent after he retroactively revoked Trump's executive privilege. Guys, this is Venezuela. This is Nicaragua. This is the Congo.
Russia.
This is Russia. This is China. This is North Korea. This is what's happening. Deadly force. Deadly force they were authorized to use. Now.
And we've talked about this before. How scared are you for this man's life?
That we've said it.
I mean,
we've said it numerous times. Every time he appears in public, every time I fear the inevitable is coming. If he's not convicted, if he gets a chance to run, one of two things is going to happen. They're going to cheat and win the election, the Democrats, or two, they can't cheat enough because real people, real Americans, real patriots actually go out and vote and do it right and keep an eye out on their polls.
When you start seeing the true numbers on the black vote, folks.
When
you start seeing the true numbers
start seeing them,
there is no way that man can win. There is
no way.
And
so if that happens and he becomes president, then I fear the worst. I don't even like saying the words, because I wouldn't want that to happen to my opponent either. I wouldn't. I don't want President Biden assassinated.
I never wanted Obama. I never wanted Obama assassinated.
No, you do what you do in this country. You don't like your leadership, you vote him out. At least that's what I thought we could do. At least I thought that was what was happening. Anyways, Jim, tell me a little bit about this rally Trump is going to have.
This
is great.
If anybody watched Lawrence Jones on Fox News, okay, just to give you real quick, okay, he's been to major cities in black communities.
Yes,
during the time of all the illegals coming into this country and kind of showing that, folks, it's the black community that's being hurt by them. They're being forced out because they get paid money to have these individuals in these apartments and all that stuff. They get paid by the government to do this. So anyway, so AOC's district, President Trump is going to have a rally near it, not in it, but near it. And let me just give you a couple quotes. Democrats are dropping the ball with black voters ahead of November as former President Trump prepares to rally thousands of supporters just blocks away from AOC's deep blue district. One New York resident argued. Lou Valentino accused Democrats of gaslighting black voters, which, how long have we been talking about it, on issues like crime and the economy? I think Democrats have been dropping the ball, Valentino told Lawrence Jones on Monday. You see crime. You see a woman being dragged with a belt. You see all types of stuff happening in the Bronx, and they're just gaslighting it, act like nothing's happened. So I just think it's the perfect opportunity for people to speak up. Now, these are not white people. These are black voters that are rallying. If you looked at the sign that this individual wore, this Lou, he was holding a lot of black people in there. This is what has happened. This is what happens when you disenfranchise people. They eventually figure it out. But I'm telling you,
years, but they're eventually figuring it out.
Trump's campaign announced Thursday the rally will take place at 6 p.m. at Crotona Park, a 127-acre public park just blocks away from the boundary line of AOC's district. The campaign has a permit to fit 3,500 people into that space, the New York Post reported, and he sets his sights on flipping the Empire State red this November, a situation that would have been unfathomable in 2021 when he departed.
Yep.
So Valentino went on to say, I think this is an opportunity Republicans should not let go. Folks, I just want to just one quick thing, and then we can move on. Or, you obviously add your opinion on this. But Republicans don't go to this district.
No.
They don't waste their time. No. They don't go. They just don't go.
It's a waste of resources.
He's going.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why he's going, others than because he senses he's getting the black vote because he is more for them than the current administration. But the other one is he can't go anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's gonna do this.
Yep.
So your
he's
take
not allowed
on
to
it.
go anywhere.
Curious on your take on it.
That's exactly true. So I mean, he's taking advantage of the fact that he can't travel by going to these locations. But the truth of the matter is, in very, very deep blue New York region, right? I'm not talking Long Island. That's red. I'm talking about, the other four boroughs. There was never even a shot. But those four boroughs,
folks,
those are areas where people have felt disenfranchised by either one, their leadership or the justice system. And they're seeing right in front of them what's happening in the justice system within their eye shot. Right there in their backyard, they're seeing a man being dragged through the fire for made up misdemeanors, trying to turn them into felonies. That's how they feel. That's happened to a lot of people, and I'm not saying just black, but in regions like that has happened. Whether I commit a crime, I feel, man, you're throwing a book at me. Like, I don't deserve this. The judge might have the right to do it, but aren't you being a little harsh? Even if you only feel that, you see this as the same situation. Like, my God, they're just dragging him through the fire for bookkeeping errors. So people feel that, and he senses it. And as always, he plays chess, they play checkers. They put him out in front of this thing. And okay, I can't travel anywhere. Well, damn it, I'm going right in the backyard then. And I'm going to start hammering this message out, Yeah, it's very, very, very well done, I think. And I think it's going to show. I think it's going to show. The support's going to be incredible there. So
same take as you have. He's making it hard. He is making it hard to cheat. Really? You're going to convince me that Biden's going to have 125 million votes?
No.
No way.
No. But somehow Trump will only have 70, maybe 80%.
Maybe 80.
Somehow we'll only have that, Yeah. But yeah, you're absolutely right about that. And here's another example of it. Biden's approval rating drops again. He also falls behind Trump in fundraising for the first time. Presidents historically need an approval rating around 50% to win re-election. Only 36% approve of Biden, down 2 points since April. It matches his lowest ever approval rating in July of 2022. Biden's sluggish economy for Main Street was the top issue, 23% for Americans, while 21% of respondents said political extremism was the top issue, followed by the open border, 13%. I'm about to tell you why that should be higher.
Yep.
That should be a much, much higher concern. Well, I'm not about to tell you. J.J. Carroll's about to tell you. On the question of who managed the economy better, Trump soared 10 points above Biden, 40 to 30%, with the other 30% saying, what's an economy? To make matters worse for Biden, he is now trailing Trump in fundraising numbers, Jim.
This is amazing.
Yeah, this can't be good news for Team Biden. While the president's poll numbers have remained in the mud, he could at least celebrate that his campaign fundraising was going well, beating out the Trump team each month, but things took a turn in April. President Joe Biden's 2024 campaign fundraising in April lagged rival Donald Trump's for the first time after the former president ramped up his joint operation with the Republican National Committee and headlined high-dollar fundraisers, all while under trial, folks. The Biden campaign and the Democrat National Committee raised more than $51 million in April, the campaign said, lower than the $90 million they had raised in March and less than the $76 million Donald Trump and the Republican Party reported taking in for the month. They beat him by $25 million in fundraising.
Significant. That is significant.
Gee, what was happening during April? The beginning of this Bragg trial and the whole.
Yep. People are starting to wake up.
They're starting to wake up, folks. Now, Biden will get his money because he's going to have the big rally with, George Clooney and Julia Roberts and all the fancy
quick
fuckers.
Question. Is he still around?
Who? George Clooney? Yeah, is he still
Julia
relevant?
Roberts. Are they?
I don't know.
Anyway.
Still relevant? You did Aaron Brockovich. It was great. Should have stopped there. Okay? That's it. Don't care about your political view. Now we do. So, this is incredible. But somehow he still will only get 75 million votes come November of 2024. But Jim, anyways, what's up with California?
I just can't. I can't.
California girls.
Oakland replaces traffic lights with stop signs.
Oh, I saw that.
After homeless steal copper wire. Now, there's something to this that I want to point out. Okay, that makes this even more fun. Oakland City officials decided to take down a traffic light at a busy intersection after homeless people reportedly stole copper wire from an electrical box that supplied power to the lights. CBS has reported the city officials have since replaced the traffic lights with 4-way stop signs. Now, you got to see it. You have these
I did see it. If you haven't seen it,
that had traffic lights on it. Now it's a big old stop sign.
They're as high as the stoplights were. Yeah. Like
the city of Oakland initially placed large cement blocks as barriers to prevent thieves from accessing the electrical box, but the barriers were quickly removed. Now, here we go. Locals familiar with the matter stated that a local homeless encampment extending from 12th Street to 17th and 14th Avenues.
Whoa.
These are blocks, folks.
That's a city.
Has been using the electrical box as a power source for their electronics.
Electronics?
Well, you caught the same thing I did, right?
They got electronics?
These are homeless encampments that apparently has big screens, TVs, or something.
Something in them. Well, are illegal staying there? Because they would. Unbelievable. So instead of taking care of the homeless problem, they just remove the lights. Why would we do that now? I mean, it's simple, right? You just take care of the problem by removing it. Not the actual issue. A pure Democrat solution, right there.
Stealing
liberal logic
copper
at its
from
finest.
The boxes. You can't make it up. I mean, this cannot be made up, folks. This is America.
But this is what's
my whole thing on that was the homeless used.
They were using it as a power source
for electricity for their electronic devices.
Yeah, probably hair dryers, curling irons. All the amenities, unbelievable. That's unbelievable. Of course, it's California. Jim, do you want to get to our interview with JJ?
Yes, absolutely.
Because I think the folks do, because you're not, stay tuned for about the next 50 minutes and pay attention to what he says. This is really telling, this interview. Again, I always say this with people, and it's like, oh, that's a great interview. One of my favorites. I love this. This could rank right up there because of what's happening and what you will all hear. So, folks, stay tuned. We got JJ Carrell, former United States Border Patrol agent, 25 years as a Border Patrol agent. So maybe he knows something, right?
A little bit. Few things.
Yeah. He's going to tell us everything we need to know about the real problem and the numbers to back it up. So stay tuned for that, Jim, and I'll be back to wrap this up. Not be happier to have back with us today, JJ Carrell. JJ is a retired deputy United States Border Patrol agent, author, and now has a documentary, which hopefully we're going to get into a little bit here. But he's an expert on the border and the border crisis and all things going on down there. We wanted to bring him back on because, this is continuing. Despite what I think the distractions are with Trump trials and everything else going on, there are still hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people crossing our borders daily, illegally into this country. JJ, welcome. Glad to have you back. So happy you joined us again. We appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate coming, having me back on. And I have to tell you, I wish I was coming to tell you, hey, we've hit that curve and we're going downward and we're making progress. Man, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. It is, and as I do this documentary, I'm aware that I've underestimated it.
Really? Even you underestimated it.
Even I underestimated, and where I underestimated was and I call it's like industrial scale right now. When I left, the my last year on Border Patrol was Joe Biden's first year, and I saw the caravans, I saw everyone pushing up. I was living in it, I was living, having to release aliens into the community with COVID and all that. But it was clunky, right? The NGOs didn't have their all their money and all their parts in place. The federal government just created this chaos, and they didn't have it really dialed in. Now, when I went back to San Diego after about a year, I've been back there. I was to do some filming and research for my book. Even a year ago, they have become so streamlined, so efficient that it was jarring to me. I was literally taken aback. And to learn, and I interviewed a DHS component, a DHS employee that actually cuts the checks to the NGOs. Jeez. And he was walking me through the amount of money and the corruption and the coordinated effort between the NGOs and the government. And I thought that I know that I have a very good grasp on it, but I did not know the enormity of it.
Wow.
And it was shocking to me.
That is crazy. So when you say streamlined, can you expand on that a little bit more? Literally, are they, I mean, this is just they're just that getting that efficient at it, or that is it? It's not a lack of care by Border Patrol agents. I don't want to go, I can't say, maybe you can tell me. I'm going to ask kind of maybe a controversial question, but are the Border Patrol agents like, they just have no control because of this administration, or are, some of those in charge of the United States Border Patrol basically hired on by the Biden administration, and therefore they're doing the dirty work for them as well?
Right. So let's look at the total pipeline, if you will, the conveyor belt that's happening. So you got to go back to April 2022. So you had this huge infusion. So it's just chaos. The government's completed complete chaos. I don't know if Mayorkas and them, when you create a plan and you do it, you have to begin to course correct because there's outside forces. Things are not as you planned. So Mayorkas flies down to Darien Gap, which is the southernmost point of Colombia and Panama. And this is where it bottlenecks and then comes up in through Central America. Mayorkas gets caught down there by Michael Yon. Michael Yon just happens to be down there filming the Darien Gap, and who flies in on his Black Hawk helicopters? Alejandro Mayorkas. What the hell is Alejandro Mayorkas doing down the Darien Gap? Well, he's down there looking at the migrant shelters and then flies out, and as Michael Yon says, the building begins. So what does our federal government do? They fly down to Panama and Colombia, and they begin to build migrant. Think of way stations. Like you're driving from Florida up to New York. Well, you're not going to deadhead it. You're going to stop at the rest areas. You're going to get something to eat, maybe sleep, get some clothes, change your clothes. That's what's happened. Our federal government has built these giant migrant centers that are run by NGOs, and we pay them, but we built them. We built these places, hold thousands of people. They come, get fed, clothed, medical, everything they need to continue their journey. So that's part of the conveyor belt and the assembly line. As they come up, the NGOs are walking them up to the border. Then the NGOs on the north side take over. Now, between the NGOs on the south side and the cartels that run everything and the Border Patrol, well, one of the greatest characteristics of the Border Patrol, and it's also our detriment, we are extremely efficient. You give us a bag of crap, we're going to figure out how to make sandwiches for everybody, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be tasty, and we're going to do it. So it took the Border Patrol a good year and a half, 2 years to figure out what are we doing? How can we streamline this detention space? So now, instead of detaining illegal aliens, Border Patrol is so efficient now at processing so quick and then releasing. Do you know, just for example, there's a 2,000 bed detention facility in San Diego. They have less than 5 people in there. San Diego's the epicenter now. San Diego's making 1,000, 2,000 arrests a day.
Insane.
And no one's in their holding facilities. Why? Because Mayorkas has dictated down, you are going to process and then release everyone.
Wow.
Everyone. So you have 40,000 beds under ICE, CBP, and DHS. None of them are being used. It's a lot.
Jesus.
But on a side note, you have to ask yourself, well, why do we have 40,000 beds? I wonder why.
Yeah.
Would you think our government has any plans? That's an honest question to ask, right? And before people scream at me and say, oh, that's crazy. Well, can we look at World War II with the Japanese? Can we look what they've done with the syphilis test against Black Americans? Mutilating women by 60,000 in the 50s and 60s in insane asylums. I mean, we can go on and on about the government is abusive tyranny. So you have them all, the illegal aliens pouring across the border. Border Patrol agents arrest them, process them so fast, and then give them to NGOs. Then the NGOs that are paid tens of millions of dollars,
a lot,
maybe a month, shotgun them in. So now you say, well, the end game of this is like New York, Chicago, Boston, Philadelphia, on and on and on. Well, they didn't have the infrastructure. So that's when you saw all these people loitering in the streets in New York and Chicago. Now, I went to Chicago because I believe it's the epicenter, and I'm watching the back end, and it is so efficient. You have, let me just kind of paint a picture of what it looks like when you're an illegal alien. The NGOs give you your airplane ticket with no proper ID. You jump on the planes. If it's oversold, they move them to first class, and they fly them into Chicago. NGOs are waiting for them in Chicago to give them free train tickets from the bus station to the regional processing area. I want you to think of 5 giant tents. You ever look like in when you see the celebrities go and they have like a celebrity wedding or some kind of dinner party outside?
Sure.
That's what bright, beautifully clean tents. And they bring them in there, and there's literal signs, big signs, colorfully painted. Get your clothes, get your food, medicine, everything. We bring them in, we medicate, feed them, clothe them, give them the proper whatever they need, sign them up to vote, sign them up for welfare documents, and then they process them and they bring them to homeless shelters in Chicago. Now, before we get to any other thing, I want to tell you in Chicago, I was brought around by escorted. I had to be escorted into South Side of Chicago as a big white guy. Looks like he's in law enforcement down in Chicago. So, but prior to going there, they showed me, and this area is on the outskirts of South Side, and the gentleman's name is Mark Carter. He's an activist. You've probably seen him going through homeless encampments in Chicago on YouTube, etc.
Yep.
And he walks me through this. Literally 200 yards away, guys, is a tent city. Just think of tents like Freddy Krueger comes through and just rips them. That's tent cities. The smell, overwhelming smell of human feces and urine. Drug addict, U.S. citizens, veterans, mental illness, you can imagine. American citizens. Illegal aliens are getting, and I forgot to tell you the most important part to ensure that the illegal aliens have complete comfort and they're not inconvenienced in any way. They have 5 large city buses parked outside running 24 hours a day for the illegal aliens. When they wait, when it's cold, they call them warming buses. And when it's hot, it's cooling buses. And they go there and they wait. So they're not. So I'm talking to these U.S. citizens in tents, and they're describing what it was like this winter and how it gets about 5 below zero. The wind's whipping through, so wind chill is down in the teens. People are starting to get frostbite on their fingers and hands, and they're telling me, describing how cold they are and miserable. And they walk to the buses and they're like knocking on the door. Can we please come in? Illegal aliens are there eating their freshly cooked meals, totally warm. And our American citizens are out there shivering and dying because only illegal aliens are allowed on the bus.
Wow.
I don't see any effing warming buses down at the homeless shelters for U.S. citizens. Do you know Chicago is evicting American citizens from homeless shelters on a 60-day rotation to give it to illegal aliens?
Wow. I didn't
we
know
knew
it was
there
that
was
high.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't know it was that high. We had heard
that.
things about it.
Yeah.
Well, JJ, I wanted to ask you with
Jesus.
and again, these are all, we know voting, right? We know that's one of the reasons why they need them to come in. But here's my conspiracy theory at work. Okay, because you look at it and say, okay, fine, they need more votes because they're losing their base here and there. So, but here's my concern. A lot of these players are paid for by people, right? The billionaires and high class and all that. Is there more to this than what we're knowing? Why they're allowing these individuals to come in? Why this border is so porous? Do we have people in high positions that are in the sex trade, sex trafficking, the human trafficking? That's what I'm starting to wonder now. It's more than just votes, I think.
No, that's a great.
What powerful American government people or even billionaires are involved in the drug trade and the sex trafficking?
Okay, well, let's talk about this sex trafficking. It's a great question, and when I'm writing my book or when I'm talking, there are many times that I will means test what I'm saying because I know that it's correct, but I'm always constantly testing. Okay, are you saying the right thing? I don't want any hyperbole, no drama, because it's already bad enough. Just tell the people exactly what the data is, even though I don't believe DHS data, but their data is so shocking and damning, it doesn't matter if they're off a little bit. So I agree with you. I believe this is, as I dive into my documentary, as I constantly dive into interviewing people, I see that this is a massive global reset, and there is a child sex trafficking component that is running all the way through it. Okay, let me give you a couple data points. We have arrested and released almost 600,000 unaccompanied alien children. That's from infancy to 17 years old. People in the business believe it's closer to 800,000.
Wow.
Health and Human Services and Office of Refugee Resettlement are responsible for the placement of these children into sponsors. They cannot account for one child.
Jesus.
One. Okay. The United States of America is number one consumer of child pornography. Look at Epstein. Look at P. Diddy. Okay. Yeah. Those are not anomalies. This is all tied together. And when I say a means test, so one group of individuals that I'm going to go interview in a Western state tucked away, they are a major child sex trafficking organization. Only tier 1 operators can be in this organization, meaning, CIA, special forces, guys that have access to all types of information. And I'm talking to this gentleman, setting up the interview in July. And I say, I want to tell you, can I just get 10 minutes of your time and tell you what I think is happening? And then you tell me, and listen, a side note, nobody wants to talk even on the phone or text or email. Everyone is scared to death of our government, scared to death. Let that hang over for a second. Guys don't want to talk to. I have to use Signal, and that's because everyone's scared to death. Yep. They were like, I won't talk to you unless we're in person, and I'm like in a skiff. I'm like, dear God. That's so incredible. I say, okay, let me tell you, sir, what I think is happening with the child sex trafficking. And he says to me when I'm done, he goes, you are 100% correct. Everything you said is right on. I just need to fill in a couple gaps.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, God dang, man, I wish I was wrong about this.
Yeah.
And then he proceeded to fill in a couple gaps that just because someone that is living it day to day knows. And one thing he said to me that was very informative, he says, you're seeing the reverse child sex trafficking. You're seeing the Mexican cartels kidnapping kids in the U.S. and bringing them to Mexico and shipping them to Africa. Wow. So you have major child sex trafficking rings in the United States of America. I was on a podcast yesterday with a gentleman named Jason James, and he is I want to get this correct, DPS captain. He ran all the cartel information for decades and runs it now at Border 911. And he was telling me about the cartels, and like he said, this is no longer like, well, this is the old days, and they bring the drugs over, and the blacks and Hispanics and the white biker gangs control No. It says the drug cartels control total movement in and outside of America. And just as he said yesterday, America has no idea. No. And this is highly credentialed guy, like the expert is saying, you have no idea what's happening in your country. You beyond. It's beyond any. Look, I'm telling you, as a guy that has been in the Border Patrol 24 years, I saw Joe Biden, what he did. I lived it. I've lived through all this lies and deception and treason. I am telling you guys, whatever you think, how bad it is, it's worse.
That's what we're afraid of that.
If you think it's a small group of people, you're wrong. It's huge. You think it's America, you're wrong. It's global. And this is the destruction of America. Look, let me just give you one data point somebody pointed out when I was in Chicago. And listen, everyone I talked to in Chicago were 99% Black Americans, okay? Black politicians, Black pastors, gang members, high-level gang levers, ex-cons, been in for murder, now are street activists, everybody in between, soup kitchen chefs, everything. They all said to me, we're going to war. We're going to war. And I'm like, okay, hold on. I need you to expand on that and clarify and tell me, what does war mean to you? And to a person, they said, well, war means I'm going to do everything I have to protect my community, because you have tens of thousands of Venezuelans poured into Chicago. They are systematically moving the Black residents out of their homes because everyone wants to rent to the Venezuelans because there's $9,000 rent checks attached to them.
Yep.
Okay?
Wow. Yeah.
So they're moving them out of homeless shelters. I'm looking at these guys. I did this for a living. I interview guys. I know what they say is true and what's bullshit and what's. I'm telling you, and they all said the same thing. And one pastor, a mega pastor, said to me, "Listen, it's not an if, it's a when. When is the first Venezuelan gang member kill one of our Black gang members, or vice versa? When is it we are one young child being raped by these savages from Venezuela? The city's going to explode." Now, you look at Chicago. DNC's coming in August for their convention.
Correct.
They know it as well as I do that it's going to explode. So what do they? What did they say last week? Well, we're actually thinking of doing a remote virtual. I wonder why.
We talked about
I don't believe in coincidences.
Me
And then the
neither.
other coincidence that I was told about in Chicago is I was talking to a very intelligent, articulate woman that is like a precinct leader in the GOP. And she's telling me, Black lady, and she's telling me, do you see any coincidence, JJ, that there are approximately 700,000 Black Americans living in Chicago and it's dwindling every year? And what Mayor Johnson of Chicago said 3 weeks ago, in his quote, we are going to bring in 700,000 illegal aliens, or migrants as he calls it. Is that happenstance, or is this strategically planned?
Correct.
Because here's the other thing that the media will not talk about. Every person I talk to down in Southside Chicago are voting for Trump. Every last one of them. So they have to replace them with that vote. And how are they going to do it? And then everyone says, well, illegals can't vote. No, you're wrong. The NGOs are signing them up to vote, guys. And they go, well, you need a Social Security number. You don't need anything.
No, you don't.
That's a lie.
That's a lie.
You don't need anything. You just show up and say, Dame mi votar. Okay, here you go. Or give it, I'm absentee. I live in this shack with 20 other Venezuelans. Send all your ballots. I'm going to give you $20. I'm going to fill it in. That's it. We live in the most lawless, corrupt nation you could. Look, man, I'm looking at, we're in Chicago. Chicago has been given over $3 billion. Billion poured into the illegal alien community. You have Black residents that are living in squalor. Look, like me and my production crew, my partner are driving, and we look at each other as we drive into South Side, and we're like, oh my God, dude, I don't feel good at all. And we're looking around and we're like, this isn't even America. This is like a third world country. Abandoned buildings, businesses shuttered,
Yeah.
There's no hope. There's destitute and crime. But as I'm driving through, I talk to him. I look over to Ryan, my partner, and I said, "This is symbolic of what's going to happen to America, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
If you think this is going to stay here in Chicago, you're wrong. We were down in San Diego. We're going to Texas this week. And then we're going to Boston, New York. We're about to see the manifestation of this treason, and it is shocking."
Yeah,
the black communities are the communities that are harmed most by this.
Yes,
they're the ones that are harmed most. We see it everywhere. We see it in all the major cities. And
correct. Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you want to bring a country together where people might be on the opposite sides of a lot of things, but now on this issue, good luck explaining how Joe Biden receives 150 million votes to win the election. Explain it.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, what scares the power structure more than anything is for a guy like me, a white man like me that's been in federal law enforcement for 24 years, literally standing shoulder to shoulder with a black street activist, with another black activist that's been in prison for 21 years for murder, and he and I align on almost everything.
Yeah.
The things that we disagree with could be an intellectual discussion, and we can agree to disagree. Correct. But shoulder to shoulder, we're aligned, and we're looking into the camera and saying, "We're coming for you. We want you out, government. We want you to pay the ultimate price for treason." And that scares them to do. Two alpha males, black and white, from two totally different parts of the country are saying, "No, we're not separate. We're absolutely like this. We're joined up,
united.
and
They can't have us united. They can't. United. No. This is the whole. It goes all the way back to Obama and the racial division that he created. It's white bad, black they're holding you down. It's everything for DEI to. I mean, it started with affirmative action. If you ask, I mean, it's everything to separate the races. Therefore, if we came together, we're unstoppable. The country's unstoppable. This is why the influx of people they need on their side, right? Do you think this is also so? When we look at the votes, and we know that that's part of it, and we discussed earlier in the week about in Massachusetts they're housing illegal children with pedophiles and child rapists and sexual predators in hotels. They're not doing any checking it. We get all that's going on because they don't care. Is it also because we could become so united? You could stand next to a black street activists coming from two different, backgrounds in your entire life and be united on a subject. So now we have to have these folks. Is it to combat the war that's coming? They say, as those folks saying, is there training grounds? You hear about militia up in the mountains. You hear about all these people, right? Are they doing anything that you know of to train them in weaponry or anything else? Or are the people they're sending over their military?
Are you talking about the illegal aliens coming into
illegals?
Our country?
Yeah. When they come over,
you have Alex Jones, right?
Well,
I guess you're referring to the Alex Jones in the United Nations report, right?
Correct.
That they're training illegal aliens, and immediately everybody goes, "That guy's a crackpot. That's correct. There's no way that's happening." And then I say to that, I tell everyone, "Okay, stop for a second. Let's critically think about Alex Jones."
Yep.
I want you to think about September 10th, 2001, before September 11th, and Alex Jones says people are going to hijack airplanes, fly them in the World Trade Center. It's going to knock the World Trade Centers down. They're going to blame it on Muslims, and we're going to go to war.
Yep.
How insane was that?
How insane?
And yes, thank you. And we're going to. He picked out the guy they're going to blame.
Picked out the name.
And how insane was that? If you heard that, you were like, "Okay, I'm clicking him off. He's out of his mind."
Correct.
Right. And it happens. Then he says that they're training illegal aliens coming into America. And you go, and my question is, what's more crazy? The 9/11 scenario? That's crazy. This is happening, guys.
This is happening.
This is soldiers. Look, when did we talk? We talked about 6 months ago, 7 months ago.
About 6 months.
Yeah. We are now looking at, it's undisputed. People don't even argue. It's now accepted to say there's 45 million illegal aliens in America.
Yep.
45 million.
Yep.
Center for Immigration Studies, CIS.org, came out last week with a study and said 52 million people living in America are foreign nationals. 1 in 6 people living in America is foreign national. All of my friends, everyone that knows, believes that we have already hit 50 million illegals, but we will for sure hit it by the time Biden leaves.
Yep.
Try to wrap your brain around 50
million.
Now, million. Now let's look at just at the raw data from Biden. At the end of Biden's term, he will have arrested and released and or lost, absconded between 27 and 30 million people. Okay. Let's just look at what they claim to have arrested. Their data. Their damning data. 12 million. 50, 60, 65% military age adult males. Military age. I've been there. I've seen them. I look at them. I know.
Yep.
Okay. 250,000 special interest aliens / terrorists arrested and released. Over 210,000 Chinese nationals, majority adult military age men that have connections to the PLA, Chinese soldiers and spies, arrested and released. Over 1 million Venezuelans arrested and released. They have emptied their prisons and jails. And then Maduro told Biden, go pound sand. I'm not taking one person deported back into my country. Haitians will surpass 1 million. Their weapon of choice in their fallen nation is the use of a machete and rape. You have, this is what's happening, guys. And then every woman and child, you pull that, you extract them from that 12 million. So it's about 4 million, I would say, 4 or 5 million. Out of the 4 and 5 million women and children, up to 80% of them have been sexually assaulted or raped. Let me repeat that. Up to 80% of them, this is not my data. This is the UN, the IOM, all the left-wing lunatic organizations and conservative organizations say, yeah, unfortunately, it's anywhere from 60 to 80% are raped or sexually assaulted.
Jesus.
Over 500,000 children have been lost in America. We believe it closer to 1 million. These are the numbers they're giving us. Do you think at any level that this is just by happenstance? Do you know the coordinated effort it takes to create this type of chaos? And I want to go back just for a second, just to drive home the NGO quote and NGO issue. They are the greatest piece of this puzzle. I'm interviewing a DHS employee that literally was the check cutter. He would write the checks, right, and send it to the. So he said, okay, tell me what it looks like. And he goes, okay, it's Catholic Charities is huge and Jewish Family Services and Lutheran Family Services. He goes, let me just tell you for Jewish Family Services. I said, okay, tell me what's the biggest check you cut. He goes, well, I cut a check for $600 million. And I went, okay, what was that for, like a 3-year contract? And he goes, no, man, you're looking at 2 months, 3 months.
Jesus.
And then I said, okay. And then he goes, wait a minute, JG, you have to understand. Let's talk about this. It's $600 million for Jewish Family Services, and under Jewish Family Services, they'll have 50 or 100 subcontractors. Okay, because of the chaos that is going, we are in just the government wants to move the bodies from the border into America at all costs. So the subcontractors will call us and say, hey, I'm under Jewish Family Services. We need $5 million for diapers. Or we need to buy another bus. And he goes, I'm cutting millions of dollars of checks. He goes, but here's where it gets crazy. I cut a check to subcontractor X, but the payee, meaning the bank account, is the same as Jewish Family Services.
You're
so
kidding.
Jewish Family Services is laundering money through their shell companies, all up to them. So we are talking right now tens of billions of dollars. I estimate, this is government data, not even mine. The low end of government data says that at the end of Joe Biden's term, on the conservative bottom level, he will have spent $700 million on illegal aliens. And the higher number, the real number, is somewhere over $1 trillion.
Oh, my God. Trillion.
A trillion.
Wow.
They can tell you whatever they want. The low end, they say, is 150 to 175 million a year. for the totality of illegals living in our country. But we know that number is a gross lie. I mean, you look at what's happening across the country. Okay, let's just take Denver for a second, right? Beautiful Denver. Denver is shipping people to Chicago and New York. They are coming openly and saying, we can't handle you. They are at 120, 150 million deficit last year. They're cutting police and fire. Their hospitals are crumbling. Why are they crumbling? Well, they had 20,000 hospital visits by illegal aliens last year. Emergency care, long-term care, sniffles, whatever. That adds up to hundreds of millions of dollars. Who's paying for them? You and I are paying for this, guys. We are living in the greatest treason ever conducted against America. And then here's the thing that I had an incredible podcast. It was a round table, and it was all dudes like us. Okay. Alpha males, unafraid, feet in the fire. They're fighting it like day in and day out. I'm talking former law enforcement, all these guys. And the question that has to be asked at the end, you and I know that everything that we're saying is factually true. We know that there's traitors running our government. It's indisputable. We know that our government is destroying America systematically, and we are on the other side of this bell curve, meaning we're going straight down. We all know that. We know how, why, and who. This is the last question of this whole scenario, and it is the most important question. America, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? They have pushed our backs against the wall, and they have made this last question in our face. What are you going to do? And the traders are betting you do nothing.
Nothing.
That's what they're betting on.
That's what they're betting on. And there's no way. And so this leads me to
history of it.
Yeah, that's right. This leads me then to the ability to save this country. And I'm going to say this carefully. Massive Trump supporter, right? I know what he's about. I know, but even then, and I know why they don't want him to run and can't have him to run, and that's why they're doing all of these bullshit trials. And then they, everything from the time he came down the escalator to today, he's the guy who they can't control, right? Or they think they can't control, one of the two. So even if he is elected, even if he's allowed to run, I still doubt that he's even going to be allowed to run. Okay. One way or the other, just because I don't trust anything that the current administration can and will do. Right. But let's say he does, and let's say he wins the election. Can even a presidency that I fully am on board with save what is happening when you're talking about the kind of money and the scope of the foreign influences and the cartel and everything else? Like what can be done despite taking up arms and going to war, right? What is there anything that can be?
Yeah, well, that's a great question because, and I've written articles about this where I've written and given interviews. What does it look like if Biden wins? He steals it, right? The guy is literally crapping his pants.
Sure.
He's farting in front of people. It's an embarrassment, right? He's a mental case. But they're going to do everything they can to make him win. If he does, it's over. I really mean that. It's over. Because you're going to see the acceleration of influx of illegals into our country. That's going to boggle your mind. If Trump wins, the first 18 months to 2 years, he's going to institute the world's largest deportation force. He said it. I know the men he's going to put in those places of position of authority. Tom Homan, etc., who is like I have great mad respect for him.
Okay.
You are going to see bloodbath. You're going to see blood spilling on our streets. And let me explain. It's not like the days when I worked. 95, 96% were Mexican nationals, Central Americans, and sprinkling some, we call it exotics back then. And then, so we would just deport them, and they would willfully go. Maybe some would run, some would fight, but not much. You deport them into Mexico, then they would come back. You're talking about tens of millions of people from the Middle East, China, Africa, continent of Africa. It took them 6 months to get here. It took them $50,000. They just paid off. They're doing sex trades. They're working in sweatshops. They're not going to voluntarily return.
Nope.
You are going to have to find them and extract them, and it's going to be a war because they already feel entitled to be here.
Correct.
Right. Now, and I would like to talk about that just for a second.
Please.
To continue on, Donald Trump, he is the force that will allow us, the conduit that will allow us to change America. But it's going to be on us, the men like us, that are going to have, and I know this is going to sound crazy, but if I told you all this stuff 6 months ago, you would have said I'm crazy.
Yeah,
but it's
of course.
happened. People said I was a nut job for the things I wrote in my book. All of it came true. Every last thing. You're going to see men like us be deputized through the sheriffs. And you're going to see us take it in control, because what's going to happen when Donald Trump wins is Antifa, Black Lives Matter, anti-American Marxist groups are going to pour into the streets. They are going to fight law enforcement tooth and nail, and law enforcement is going to have to turn their weapons on American citizens. And American citizens like us are going to have to back our police officers and back our city leaders and take these savages down. Look, I'm not advocating for violence, but I'm telling you what our founding fathers said. You have a moral obligation. When you have a tyrannical government, you have a moral obligation to take them out. And they did not think it was going to be by voting. They knew tyrannical government, you have to physically remove them.
Correct.
We are on the precipice of violent anarchy in America. You better have your weapons. You better have your head on straight. And another thing that I want, and I know your audience is aligned with us, but all the stragglers that are the woke beta males, I need you to understand, when everything goes down, you are going to, with your man buns and your stupid skinny little arms and your pasty white face, you are going to be banging on my door to protect you.
Correct.
And I'm going to tell you right now, men like me are going to turn you away. They're not going to help you. You are on your own. You called us vile names. You hurt us. You physically try to take my jobs away. You took our jobs away. We're going to allow you to feel the suffering that you gave us.
That you deserve. That you deserve.
You deserve. Because these savages that are here, and I'm going to call it straight out, these illegal alien savages from Venezuela, Haiti, continent Africa, that like to machete people, cut them up into pieces, the cartels that like to cut your head off, cut your genitals off and stick it in your mouth and throw your head away. They're not going to come for us first, you morons, because there's a better chance than not that we're going to kill them. They're going to go to the low-hanging fruit, which is you LGBTQ people that have no idea what gender you are, and piercings all over your body, you look grotesque. They're going to come and kill you first and take all your stuff because you are easy prey. This is about being in the wild again, guys. This is strength and violence wins. And unfortunately, this is what we're in a lawless society. But let me go back real quick, just so your audience understands. The people that you are going to be against, the people that the Democratic Party is aligning with, the illegal aliens, you have to understand. I felt this in San Diego when I walked the border at 2:00 in the morning on our side, where I spilled blood and spilled other men's blood to put people in handcuffs and keep our country safe, where an agent had their head blown off by a round going through his eye and somehow he survived. That same freaking place had over 100 people from India, Middle East, and Africa. And you know what I felt when I walked in my place where I used to be the king? I felt like I was a trespasser. They made me feel uncomfortable. They looked at me like, hey, dude, this is where we live. Get out. And I'm going to tell you, I went to Chicago, and I'm downtown Chicago with 100, 200, 300 Venezuelan, all young kids from 18 to 35 and everywhere in between. No women. All males. And you know how they looked at me? The same way. What are you doing here, dude? This isn't, I'm in Chicago. No, you need to leave. America, you better wake up. There's 45 million. Do you think Chicago, New York, and Boston are holding 45 million people? No, they're all in your communities.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they're going to come for you because you have everything they want.
Yep.
And one day, real soon, the money's going to dry up.
It is.
If they keep
Correct.
printing the money, we're going to go into a depression, and then everyone's going to hold on to their stuff, and we're going to be in a world of hurt because guess who's going to depend it on everything? You have illegal alien families living on government assistance shelters for over a year.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how much it's costing us? Let me just give you how insane this is. Let's take one hotel in New York City. Just one. 50% of the hotels in New York City are filled with illegals. We're just going to take one. Row Hotel. 5,000 illegals live in there. Let's take one illegal alien, and let me tell you how much it costs to feed him for a year. 3 meals a day is about $100 in New York City. $100. There's no New Yorkers living on $100 meals. Illegal alien, $100 a day, 30 days a month.
Yep.
$3,000 times 12 months. We are paying for one illegal alien to live off $36,000 of meals. And do you know what they do?
Yep.
But you know what they did just last month? They stormed the city hall in New York and then said, your food sucks. We need it to be culturally appropriated. And you know what New York said? Absolutely, we'll help.
Sure, of course, we understand. We're here to help.
So when you and I are talking, we talked about a little bit of child sex trafficking. The narcotics are off the chart.
Sure.
Off the chart. I'm listening to this guy that's a cartel expert, and he's telling me fentanyl is the drug of yesterday. That doesn't even register. We're looking at all kinds of tranquilizer gun drugs, synthetics that are worse than fentanyl. He goes, you haven't seen anything yet, guys. It's pouring into America. The overdose deaths have doubled or tripled under Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Why? Because you have an open border where every bad, malicious thing is coming across. 80% of the border is not one Border Patrol agent. Not one. All of the northern checkpoints that are primary to our success are shut down. ICE agents have left child sex trafficking, human trafficking, drug cases to make sandwiches and babysit for illegal aliens. You have no idea how bad this is. It is so deep and so wide. So circle back to your question. How are we going to stop it? Because I'm telling you, and I have to applaud Mayorkas and Joe Biden. They have created a foundation that is so industrial sized and strength that I don't know how you tear it down. I don't, because we're talking about power and wealth that we cannot wrap our brains around.
Correct.
A lot of people.
And you have to understand. You have Western European nations that are falling. Sweden's falling. The Netherlands is starting to fall. But in the big scheme of the world, does anybody give a shit if Sweden falls or the Netherlands? No, it really doesn't have an impact. But what has an impact? The United States of America falls, then the rest of the world will be at the mercy of globalists. And that's exactly what we're seeing. And I come back to this question all the time. If you think I'm crazy, you think I'm wrong, whatever, but you know the data is correct, then tell me a different conclusion. And I want it to be articulate, and I want you to explain it like I did systematically.
Correct.
Go.
Yep.
And every time I say that question to anyone, they just sit there in silence because there is no other explanation.
There's no other conclusion
what I
to be made.
There isn't.
Yep.
There isn't.
There absolutely isn't. Wow. Tell us a little bit about the documentary. When can we expect to maybe see that? Where are you going next?
Okay.
About your novel, your podcast. What's happening with you?
Yeah. So the documentary is called What is Treason? And the best way to explain this is everyone's seen the chaos and destruction on the border, right? We've seen that ad nauseum. Yep. It's important. We're documenting that, but I'm taking the camera and I'm moving it north because I'm going to go on a journey to show America what is treason. And I'm going to show you the manifestation of open borders, intentional destruction, intentional strategic invasion. What does it look like? Well, I went straight line from the border to Chicago. It's removing Black Americas, destroying the inner city and move it into America. I'm going to Boston, New York, Texas, Colorado, Florida, Iowa, Alabama. I'm going to all these places. And we're going to stop filming by the end of July. I do the narration edit in August, and then it comes out in end of September, early October.
Nice.
That's our goal.
Timing.
The more I do it and the more that we push out into X and internet, it's exploding. I'm a little taken aback. After Chicago, I have done at least 40, 50 interviews just about Chicago because it's so big. We'll have our website up by the end of the week. And what's great about our website is as we're going, we're just pushing out content, edited content into our website so people can literally follow us and track us.
Nice.
And then we are going to start taking pre-orders for $9.99. So it's like a coffee, right? But for $14.99. So when you watch a documentary, like I'm interviewing a guy named Tyrell Mohammed, 21 years in jail for murder. Now he's a very successful businessman and street activist trying to, as he says, make changes to a community that I helped destroy. So you watch that video, you watch the documentary, maybe I'll have 2 minutes, maybe I have 5 minutes with Tyrone. I don't know, right? Through editing and time constraints. And you're watching that, you're like, God, I could watch that guy for an hour. I like to hear what he says. Well, for extra money, we're going to have, where you go to the website, we're going to have probably 200 hours of the interviews. Where you can go and listen to the long form, like something like this. So I'm very excited about it. I think I started it like, okay, I'll make a documentary. I'm going to make it the best I can. And maybe some people watch it, to now where I'm thinking, I think a lot of people are going to watch it. And what my goal is, no hyperbole, no dramatic, just here's a beautiful cinema, like artistically beautiful, but I want the audience, my goal is to show exactly what's happening. So when that movie ends in 90 minutes, that you sit back and you're like, oh my God, what did I just see? Is this really real? And that's the question I want asked. Is this really true? Because if you're intellectually honest, you will go and you will look and start fact checking me. And then you're going to find out, dear God, that's it's true. And it's not J.J. Carrell, 24 years, big white guy from the deep South saying it. This is just me interviewing people from the inner cities, rural America, everyone, every shade in between. America, not Black Americans, Americans are being destroyed. So that's the documentary. It's called What is Treason? Our website comes out and it's called thisistreason.com. Then my book, Invaded, I don't like to, it's hard to pub because I don't like to do it, but it's 8-time bestseller on Amazon.
Nice.
It just keeps going in and out of it. So I'm reaching a good amount of people. And then finally, we have a Give, Send, Go, because what I'm finding out is Give, Send, Go / Saving America. And what is happening is as people find out that I'm doing it or seeing the audio and the video, that people of let me say, higher stature, like visibility, are calling me and saying, I want you to interview me. I want to be a part of it. So I have to take me and my partner have to fly to Florida, for example. That's $2,000-$3,000 in Colorado. And it just adds up. We're self-funding because I have been approached by multiple organizations to do documentaries, but they're not aligned. I'm not soft pedaling this. This is you can call me whatever you want. I don't care. This is going to be the truth. And me and my partner made agreement before we endeavored on this. Nobody's getting a piece of it, because if someone gets a piece of it, they're going to sit in that editing room and they're going to chop it down. And I don't want that. I want it to be, this is the truth. This is what's happening in America. I'm excited about it. I have a lot of partners that are coming on board to promote it. So good. And I appreciate this long form that you give me to be able to speak about it.
Oh my God, anytime for you.
Well, when it comes out, we hope you come on.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll definitely come on. And once the website goes up live, I will text you guys and let you know.
Let me know so I can start telling people about it.
Because it's this is the greatest threat to our republic. It's not China, it's not Russia. It's this, because you are being systematically replaced. It's called the replacement theory. Let me end this with just 2 quotes.
Sure.
Okay. We are going to fundamentally transform America. Barack Obama. There are going to be endless waves of immigration and immigrants forever. Joe Biden. 2 of the leaders in the Democrat Party are telling you exactly. Chuck Schumer, paraphrasing, we need people to replace American citizen workers. Don't listen to me. Listen to their words and look at their actions and stop acting as if they love America.
Yep.
They fundamentally hate America. They believe it is ill-gotten gains from slavery and oppression, and we have to turn it back over to the rest of the world. The man that's leading the United States Department of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas, is a naturalized citizen from the communist nation of Cuba, and all of his actions are that of a Marxist communist. He met with the then chief of the Border Patrol, Rodney Scott. I don't know if you ever heard this. Rodney Scott goes in. He was the last chief under Trump, and he was getting pushed out by Biden, but they have to do it. They can't do it for like 120 days per some policy or law. He goes in and meets Mayorkas, and Chief Scott says under oath in front of Congress, they asked him, what did Alejandro Mayorkas say to you? And he said, and I'm going to almost quote him, Chief Scott, I want you to open up every avenue possible to allow in as many people as possible. Okay? That is in congressional testimony. Look it up. The head of Homeland Security, to keep our homeland sovereignty and security, is telling the chief law enforcement officer on the border to let in as many people as you can. If that's not treason, I don't know what is.
Exactly.
Yep. Exactly. But yesterday he just says that their Biden administration has enforced the law since day one. Literally, that's what he said. He's enforced their law, which is lawlessness.
I don't know if you know, 94 executive orders were passed on day one. Day one, that demented old fool came in. 94. Do you know that 296 executive orders on immigration were passed in his first year? Laying the groundwork of this. That is why you see chaos, craziness that first 18 months, and then all of a sudden things start to streamline, and then we're here. And now we're bringing millions of people a day, millions of people a year, tens of thousands a day into America.
Yep.
Think about the logistics of taking 12 million packages, 12 million iPhones, and moving them from the south border into Chicago and New York. That takes time. Now imagine having people to feed, clothe, and house. That industrial-sized mechanism has to be in the tens of billions of dollars, and it has to be someone. They had to have sit at the highest levels of government and whiteboarded this, game planned it, tabletopped it. This did not happen by a bad policy. This was intentional, strategic, and they had to sit down and purposely lay out the destruction of America.
Yep. Yeah, and to think our country was founded and fought for on a 2% tax on tea. And here we are in this situation, much more dire, much more urgent. It's. I think we know what's coming. I mean, to be honest with you, I think we know what's coming. Unfortunately, JJ, we can't thank you enough. We really do appreciate you. God bless you, and the work you're doing, and the documentary. My God, I cannot wait for that to come out. Come back when it gets closer, or anytime you want. You know, the invite's always open for you. We
Thank you
appreciate
guys, and I will
really
take you
respect
up on
you.
it.
Yeah, we respect you and your opinion for sure. And we'll talk soon. I know it.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, you guys.
JJ.
Take care.
You too. Bye-bye. Well, folks, I don't know if you're as stunned, shocked, pissed, worried as Jim and I. I like he said at the beginning, Jim, we'd love to be coming out saying problem solved. They fixed it.
Yep.
We're getting right on track. It's gotten worse. It's gotten worse. Like 6 months, maybe 8 months ago, we talked to JJ, and it was a bad problem. And now with his documentary that's coming out, he literally it even surprised a 25-year United States Border Patrol agent how bad the problem is. Jim, your thoughts?
Well, I want to go one step further on this. I want to challenge the MSNBCs, the CNNs, the ABC, CBS, all the liberal news networks to start playing this. To start playing this.
Yeah.
This is an American crisis.
Yes.
And the left media is being used by these globalists,
bought and paid for,
to control the narrative. So the most American people aren't hearing it.
Yep.
So you've got these idiots that we always like to say, the ones that follow the Democrat Party right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're just, we used to call them ignorant. No, they're just stupid.
No,
now they're just stupid because
now
they
blind and
don't
stupid.
get it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. They're just,
yep.
How those, you follow right off a cliff,
yeah,
the dodo
lemmings,
birds,
the lemmings. Yeah.
And, so this is what's going on, but I challenge them. Interview JJ Carrell, interview people on the border, get the truth that is going on. Folks,
he is.
You heard what he said about Chicago.
Yes.
There are black people being removed from their homes because the people who own the apartment complex get paid $9,000?
$9,000 a month.
From the government. So that's why they're being kicked out. And the government doesn't give a shit.
Yep.
They don't care. It's the black communities that are suffering the most. And until everybody understands. Oh, and by the way, if you noticed on JJ's, everything he pointed out was from the DHS site.
Yes, correct. Yep, not his own.
The government site.
The government site. They're telling you, and like he said, he quoted Obama, he quoted Biden. They've told you what is going to happen, and I'm glad he's on my side, JJ. I'm just glad. I'm glad we have people like that, and Wayne and John and all sorts of people that are, those are the people in the know, and they know what's going on in the communities and around the nation. And, I hope he's careful out there. He's going to these cities. He's not only because of the government, but he's going into dangerous parts of cities too. Crime rate. He said it himself. A big white guy that looks like a law enforcement officer. They don't take much to that. But there he is standing side by side with street activists. They probably disagree on 80% of what's going on,
and you
or 20%, right? So it's maybe it's the 80-20 the other way, but it's the 20% they keep forcing down our throats. And there they stand united on this particular problem in our nation.
You and I have been saying all along that the black people are just being used by the Democrats. You show up every 2 to 4 years, vote for Democrat,
vote for me,
then go back to your lives, and we're going to pretend that we're going to help.
That's right.
But nothing ever gets done.
Biden speaks at Morehead
and then
College.
You have
really? Did he do that last year?
What
or an
about
election year?
The people like Whoopi Goldberg and Sonny Hostin, Joy Reid?
Yep.
What about all these people that are sitting there touting this man, President Biden, touting him, while their own people are being destroyed by that administration?
Yep. And yet the black community a lot of them still look up to the Whoopi Goldbergs and the Sonny Hostins and the Don Lemons and they look up to these people and Obama.
And they destroy Tim Scott, Byron Donald.
They destroy. Correct. That's who they destroy. That's who they destroyed, or any other person of color that comes out. And look what they did to Tulsi Gabbard. She's not black. She's white, but she's a woman of color, technically under their, guidelines, right? Look what they did to her, not only a woman of color, but a female. This party is literally, it's by design. They've done it. They've managed to infiltrate the country on what he says is a very streamlined system now. Look what they're doing. And I don't know, but in my area, I've noticed quite a few more. And I live in the free state of Florida. They're not going to take it, but it's hard once you start getting infiltrated. You don't have the law enforcement to handle it all. And this is exactly what they're doing. They're bringing millions and millions. And how many law enforcement? How many are in law enforcement? I'm talking about your local police and or sheriffs across the country. What's that number? 10,000, 12,000? I don't even know. I can't remember. I remember seeing it once, and I should have looked that up.
Well, just look at what the Chicago, just for instance, that one story we did last week where the woman called 911 and we have nobody to respond.
We have nobody.
These are the individuals. Folks, defunding the police and all of this stuff, all of this coincides with
plan.
You think we are going to take over this country?
Yeah,
we are not.
Yeah,
they're doing it by bringing these illegals in who will not go quietly, as you heard.
JJ.
Most of them will not go quietly.
Oh no, because like you said, they feel entitled to be here now. They've been given everything. So,
but the money will eventually stop.
That's when that was telling, because that's true. Again, JJ, thank you again. I cannot thank him enough for coming on. Really good friend to us, and we appreciate his time. Boy, I'll tell you, I cannot wait for that documentary to come out. Now, you're not going to see it on Netflix, people. Netflix ain't picking up that documentary. The Obama Netflix is not picking that one up. Yeah, but they will not. So when the website comes out, he mentioned it on there. It's not up and running yet, but should be shortly, and we hope this week still. When it does, he'll let us know. We'll advertise it to get out there to support him.
And, again, we talked about it before, but donate to him, folks.
Yeah, he's got the gift send.
These individuals that we've talked to a lot of people that have done documentaries. They don't want big production companies to come in and help them because they can edit what they put out there. Right. So they have to use their money.
Yep. And just like Christy Lee, just like, like her in her documentary, it's the same thing. They use their money so they don't lose the full control of it. Yeah.
Christopher Martini, the Archers.
Yeah. There's a lot of these folks doing good work for this country out there in this way, and they're funding it themselves. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Crazy. And go get his book too. It's called Invaded, The Intentional Destruction of the American Immigration System. Go get that. You can get on Amazon. You heard it, 8-time bestseller on Amazon. Good for him. He deserves it. JJ, thank you again. Jim, I think that's about all I got today, folks. Keep in mind that we will have one show next week due to the Memorial Day holiday. I say holiday, but keep in mind what it's really for, folks. Keep those who lost their lives serving our country and fighting for what now they are taking over. It could not mean more this year than I think it ever does. They've given their lives, the ultimate sacrifice. So the Biden administration can do what they're doing. Should piss you off. And if it doesn't, you are the problem. Like Jim would say, you are part of the problem. If that doesn't piss you off.
I have a picture over there on my wall of an uncle who lost his life in Vietnam.
Yep. So, that's right. You think for this? No, none of them.
It wasn't for this.
None of them. Yep. So keep that in mind. I hope everyone has a safe Memorial Day weekend. It's not about the barbecue. It's about remembering those.
Have fun at the barbecue. Enjoy
it.
Like Dale said.
But celebrate it. Celebrate the real reason.
You are 100% correct. Yes. Let's celebrate the real reason.
Yep, for sure. Jim, have a
Why
safe...
you get off work.
While you get off work. That's why you, exactly. Jim, and remember, those still serving are not off work. Those still serving our communities and the police forces and the fire and the hospitals and all that, they still work. Yeah, so,
one thing that all of them have in common, even if the people that hate them need help, they will be right
there to help them. That's right. It's what those people have in common. Yep.
Because that's what
even if they don't realize it. So, Jim, thank you again. Thank you for your contribution as always. You and your family have a very safe. Thank you. Have a safe. And we'll be back next. We'll have a show next Thursday. So until then, catch up on some episodes if you haven't. There's some really great interviews out there. And share, follow, share, like. I'm even saying it backwards now, Jim, on Rumble and YouTube. Listen to us on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeart, you name it, Amazon. Listen there. Give us a review. That would be very, very helpful. And if you care about the country and there's nothing you can do, maybe you're elderly, maybe you're just, you don't have the resources to, then send this episode out with that information from JJ Carrell. Share it to everybody even those that don't like you. Share it. Make them listen.
Whether they like it or not, you can't prove the guy wrong.
You can't prove him wrong. Make them listen. That's all. So if that's all you can do, that's a big help. So please do it.
Huge.
Anyways, Jim, until next week, I bid you goodbye and see you then. Thanks.
You've been listening to the Two Guys, One Coup podcast with Dale and Jim. Remember, you can watch on YouTube and Rumble and listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And if you like what you hear, go ahead and give us a 5-star review. We really appreciate it, and it helps others find us when searching for podcasts. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and TikTok. Just search for Two Guys, One Coup. That's the number 2, guys, and the #1 Coup, COUP. Thanks again for listening to the Two Guys, One Coup podcast, and God bless the United States of America.